My name is Alexey Rusakov. I'm a scientist, a crystallographer, and I'm a DI colorist. And my fellow here is...
Evgeny Vorobyov. I'm just a freelance colorist who works in my own studio, remotely mostly.
And this is the Gamut Talk, show about movies and movie makers from the point of view of technical savvy guys.
Yeah, who just love computers and color and movies.
For starters, as you may or may not know, according to our local laws, we neither can say several specific words which describe the current situation in the world, nor we can or would love to express any specific point of view to avoid any lawsuits or going to jail. I think many listeners will understand what we are talking about, but we'll try our best to somehow come in touch with those and to give a little glimpse of our vision around all this. So I hope everyone will be safe, well, and healthy after all this passes and comes to an end, hopefully.
So what I think is like, are we the people to even speak about like all this stuff?
Yeah, it's like, what do you say when you cannot say anything? A humanitarian catastrophe, I guess that would be a correct term for the situation. But we can discuss what's happening on the market right now, and we would love to do just that today.
Yeah, and to be clear, we are now in different countries. I'm in Ukraine, Alexei is in Russia, so not kind of one-sided type of people.
Yeah, but we will try to avoid any particular details. Okay, so Evgeny, what are we going to talk about today?
I think the hottest topic is the way we transfer money right now. It's basically cut in all of the different platforms cutting their way. For example, last message I received in my region, I will be just blocked in a week just because I live in this region, not considering like my citizenship or something else. Just, okay, you'll be banned. Withdraw your money, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge topic to discuss because all the disasters happening right now in the world, and we are all part of it in some way or another. But in the meantime, several decisions of big companies also depend on people that are not involved in the situation. For example, freelancing world. I think there is any freelancer that does not understand the situation that's happening right now. Yet, most of the freelancers are cut from the global market. You mentioned the Swift transfers via the bank accounts. Several platforms, several freelancing platforms like Upwork and Fiverr, they just declined to work with many freelancers from Russia, for example. You can't just in the blink of an eye change your citizenship to continue working. And for some people, that's like their life income. So they don't have any more money.
There's weird situations where people live abroad. Like they're not even there to begin with. So they have like Russian bank account, but they do not live in Russia. They live abroad. They just, making their freelance life, and they cannot do anything. Like their cards are blocked. They cannot create new bank accounts in country they located in because like, oh, you're Russian, we will not make you an account. There is like not an individual issue happened like for YouTubers, freelancers who facing this situation of just being fully blocked in any financial way, even though they cannot do anything to solve it. And of course, like one of the way is to figure out crypto and try to do something with it.
Yeah, it's like the people are stigmatized for the things that they are involved in, but they can nothing to do with. So that's the problem, that many freelancers would just try to work at McDonald's somewhere else. Where if they have to move, they have to work somewhere. You cannot work as a freelancer anymore because you have to either create a new account and risk being blocked for double accounting, or you just wait where you get the papers that can confirm that you changed your citizenship or current location to work again.
In most countries, there is like 5-year time period to have a citizenship of this country. So I guess that's not an option for most of the people.
Yeah.
So people like basically will have to make like some pretty much illegal moves to transfer the money to like survive, because if you are, for example, in Portugal and you have like $100 cash and all your bank account blocks, what can you do? You will have to transfer money to someone in some sketchy way and probably hope they will give you cash, or like find some weird internet platforms who are not clearly registered in Portugal because you are there, you need money there, and probably there will be no way for you to pay your taxes in this case because it's some sketchy ways you have to figure out on the fly. And that's weird situation that people are facing right now. And it's not like 10 people.
Yeah, it's like hundreds of thousands of people, I think.
Ukraine have 40 million people and Russia have, I guess, 130 million people. So you can imagine Ukrainian refugees plus all the Russian people who also might flee the country for various reasons.
I fully understand that you cannot just take apart a situation where people die and everything's happening, but you have to make money somehow to live through the events that you never could think to be possible like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. You have to do something. You have to be prepared for any other events that could follow. You have to continue working. And I think that the cinematic, I should say, world, the post-production world is like an international community.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like there is some different types of people who work in like production, let's say. Some people shoot for government channels or like sponsored movies, and some people, mostly freelancers, work for international and global set of people. Like, for example, it's hard for me to even like guess amount of country from which I have client. I work with like most of the European countries, say Canada, of course, Australia, some Asian, like 10 Asian countries. So there's clients all over the world who want post-production services.
It's a very difficult discussion. In my opinion, I'm not even remotely close to international affairs or politics, but there are some sanctions. There are some human intent to help the situation from all over the world. But it's like several companies, they try to help, try to block Russia from international marketing, but they're not like blocking Russia. They are just blocking particular people. It's not like these blocks will help the situation in the whole.
Maybe some person might expect that if person get blocked in some platforms, they will like protest or something, but it's not how it works. How I see the situation, people after all this hype bans, if you say like every day 10 or more different companies, websites, platforms just announce they're banning some businesses in some countries, and like it's all hype, but people just become resentful.
What do we have on the market right now? Let's discuss our beloved new prices for the equipment. We, as the colorists, have to love the technology and to look at our devices now and then. What do we have?
Some techno geeking have to be put down somewhere. So the most interesting prices we have is new Apple release, which is a new MacBook.
Let's first mention the old prices. Have you looked for the prices in Russia right now?
As I'm not in Russia, I'm not quite monitoring the changes, because for me it's all like not real to buy basically. I have no plans like updating hardware, so anything is not buyable anyway. Like you cannot buy new GPU, like go and shop and buy it mostly. You cannot buy a new Apple product, just go and shop and buy it, because you have to pre-order it and you have to wait, and
you have to go abroad first.
Yes, and for me it's like I have to travel in some other city and hope it will like make the delivery in some weeks and I will be there, and it's a mess. So like for me it's all like, like reading science fiction, some like catalog in some game and watching like, oh, they have cool new tech.
Good point. So in the last couple of weeks, the prices have risen for graphic cards up like by 20-25%. And in the world of GPU mining, it was not like a really huge leap because they have already jumped up by 50%. But the processors, they yesterday our Russian main retailer, they updated their prices, and most of the processors jumped up by 100% in the price, like in a night.
Yeah, because there was a news that basically there will be no new shipments from AMD, Intel, Nvidia. So
You know that the main problem that Intel and AMD may say anything about their shipments to Russia, but AliExpress sells all of these items and will sell all of these items to Russia. It won't be crazy expensive, I guess. Because the biggest problem for them will be shipments, because the processors and the graphic cards are fragile. So they have to put additional insurance on that. I don't think that there will be any shortage of processors in Russia.
I think I had offered on AliExpress the stand for the laptop. I was willing to use it for my keyboard. And it's like the website status changed to delivery failed, but order did not close. And so it's like there is some logistical issues right now happening, because shipment for me in Ukraine was made through the Russia, so the Russia customs. And basically it's like on hold and it's failed shipment right now. So probably there is like new logistical issue for AliExpress as well, because there is a money transfer issue. There is, because logistics is like every piece of a logistic chain have to be paid, and we don't know on which stage of delivery they have to be paid. And if there is a ban on side of like Visa and MasterCard, basically they cannot be paid. So they have to like say, okay, we will not deliver it, and they have to send it back, for example. And as of course, because price is changing due to like currency changes prices. Now you have to figure out, does this product will cost the same? How they will charge you back, like send you your funds back? How delivery will now be costed, because there is like logistical crisis, and you have to adjust the price for delivery. And there is like a new way to transfer money, because Visa and MasterCard banned. So they have to like, I guess, use Union Pay, which is now not fully implemented in between the countries. So it's again a new logistical issue you have to solve. And it will be like, I guess, an adoption period where AliExpress and a lot of other major retailers will have to adapt. For example, we have Belarus, who live in kind of this situation for a long time. Like they don't have present, like for example, Microsoft in Belarus, but they have.
Really?
Yeah, it's like they do not have like Xbox in the shops by Microsoft. They have. It's like, they have to. For example, they buy a subscription for Xbox gaming, blah blah blah, and they buy it from through the other country, and they have like Xbox cards, for example, subscription cards, but it's like through some third how do you call it in English?
Courier.
Proxy, like through the proxy business that made like his share. So basically all the companies that banning Russia from the business, it will just take time to make this proxy company, which will be like the provider of the service or the good to transfer. Like for example, you have PlayStation, you want to sell it in Russia, and you're not trading with Russia, so you're selling it to like some Laos company that will buy the Sony PlayStation and sell it in Russia. You did nothing wrong, you sell it to the Laos company. Laos company was not banning Russia, so they're selling it in Russia. So products just becomes a bit less cheap in Russia, but and some Laos company makes some bucks. That's it.
Yeah. The problem is that, as far as I know, the laws, they control the bulk sales of such things.
Yeah, maybe, but you can create hundreds of companies, thousands of companies. There is like countries where creating this type of company, offshore company, is not that big of a deal, and there is not like a big of a legal and financial hassle. So it was basically done a lot in the history, and it will be done a lot in the history because it's like a big market and someone will figure out the way. So, and same I guess with all the financial services, we will probably have like some platform register someone on Cyprus, and like it will be like pay away something, and you will be like doing your business through them, or there will be some companies who will support Union Pay or local Russian cards like Mir, and it will be just using this company. That's it. So there is like a big hole in logistics of financial and goods, basically.
Yeah. So I think the main point is that ordinary people are suffering from closing of these companies much more than any government that these companies want to attack with these procedures.
Yeah, like if some random government person has like yacht, 10 houses, and like basically whatever they money can buy, they're not gonna be suffering of banning of PayPal or like banning of Microsoft Store. They don't give a damn about it. They like what it even is like Microsoft or PayPal. They don't know, and usual people have to figure out stuff. And also like some companies probably will return to the market pretty fast because they're waiting for currency to stabilize. You see examples IKEA that they just paused their work and selling their products for 3 months till May, I guess, as I heard in news. So they're not like going out for real, but they just stopped. So they want to probably see what will happen with currencies and political stuff.
I think that might change because there were some talks about the nationalization of those companies, and I have no idea what's going to happen. It doesn't sound good to me.
Overall, as I see, there is no idea what's gonna happen anywhere in the world right now because we have like already, I guess it's now more than 5 million refugees from Ukraine to Europe. So like my fellow Ukrainian citizens just fleeing, and it's like only woman and child and old people can leave. Today was news like Germany asked Poland to stop sending trains with people to Germany because they cannot handle it. So it's a humanitarian crisis. It will touch all the countries.
Yeah.
Of course, we can only hope that all the violence will and should be stopped as fast as it can. Like people can and will end it with like some papers to sign. So I hope papers will be signed faster than later. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's all I hope for. Until that, we all can like to just keep handling the situation as we can and discussing what's happening right now. And I guess it's better like to discuss why we wanted to speak like in English on this podcast.
It's actually our first English podcast, so we can be a little bit crude in our English because we're just like speaking the Russian heavy language for the most of the time. But we spoke with Evgeny and decided that we should broaden our audience because like
so people can like hear ordinary people from like colleagues. I guess only colleagues can now hear us. It's like some filmmakers and colorists and cinematographers, and I hope like they just can hear that some people are not dumb to be political about the life.
So we stopped on the prices for the Apple products.
Yeah,
they in the last 2 weeks the prices for older MacBooks they jumped up higher than 100%. The price for the dollar jumped like 60% during this time, and the prices for Apple devices jumped 50% more, even to the jump of the dollar.
Yeah, it's some scarcity involved, I guess, because like video cards have received some wild aftermarket prices. You can like buy a house in small city for like 5 video card price.
Yeah, you can buy, I think, a BMW for the 3090, for the NVIDIA 3090 right now in Russia.
Used, of course. BMW.
Yeah, I used BMW.
So what do you choose, render or race?
If they would pay me for those renders proportionally to the price of the graphic cards, I think I would choose the graphic card.
Yeah, like in Russia, it's like rising prices because all companies just stop in the business. So I don't know how financially it works. Maybe there is some like paper signed about stuff like this. Because like if you have an contract
Yep.
to ship some products, how you can just say, "Oh, we will not do it." There should be some like lawsuits or some legal issues with this. You cannot just say no. Like, do you want to eat, son? No, mom. It's not. It's not work like this. I guess.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
So
not to be honest.
I think that there is some special situations on all those contracts discussed, but those special situations they should be somehow formally named. So you can't just say that this situation takes place. You should prove that this situation is going on right now. So maybe let's move to some happier topic.
What do you think about Apple hardware? Like, let's like keep dollar prices in mind. And what do you think of new Apple hardware comparing to like real hardware used in like post-production machines, computers?
Yeah, trying to put aside all the grief and all the understanding. So the new Apple hardware, as far as the first tests go, I think that those tests should be a little bit more thorough. But according to the first information, the M1 Ultra is like a blast. So you can buy a $4,000 little brick, and you're settled for the horsepower of like NVIDIA 3080 in terms of DaVinci Resolve, and a processor, I think like a top desktop Intel processor, like 12,700.
Yeah, processor wise, it's basically everything is beaten because there is a lot of hardware chips to encode ProRes, to encode 264, 265 codecs. So basically, you are set in processor wise. Maybe I guess there is a lot to be done with RAW performance. We did not receive any good. I didn't saw any good test with BM RAW, ARRI RAW, Red RAW, so most formats we are using. But of course, 4,000. Okay, for 4,000 you can like even current GPU prices. You can make pretty good machine and pack it also with pretty good amount of hardware space, like drive space. You can put a lot of SSDs in it, and it will be pretty good.
You can buy an external enclosure for the NVMe disks and do the same with Macs.
It will be additional prices. You will be taking place of other devices in Apple limited amount of ports outside. Because like in usual computer, you have a lot of PCI Express ports. So you can set your graphics cards, your like decklink output device. You can populate it with some other like, of course,
like network controller,
or anything you want. Basically, it's flexible as much as you want. You can like populate your PCI Express slot with extension for NVMe drives and put few of this, or like million of SATA drives in one X16 PCI. And on top of that, you have your ton of SATA drives internally, like 6+, probably on the big motherboards. Still you have left with your back IO, and it's like pretty much 6+ USB. 2.0, 3.0, 1 or 2 Type-Cs, and you have your front panel on the computer with Type-C, Type-A, microphone, audio outputs, etc., etc. So you have like a lot of things to put your cables, to put devices. And in Apple, you have all of this, but limited to Thunderbolt ports and Type-A, I guess, in top version. So and you have to create a big network of hubs and think like, okay, how I will connect my monitors to this brick, because I have 3 outputs. I have to use some hubs. How it will work? Should I daisy chain my hubs or my monitors? Which monitor supports this technology, like Thunderbolt connection, or like it's some hub that will do Thunderbolt to HDMI, Thunderbolt to SDI, etc., etc. And you have to think about it, and you have truly engineer your workspace, thinking about how you will connect everything to this small brick. And my idea is that there is 2 types of people who might want to buy this brick. One, it's a studio, more like big studio. Okay, they need a new workspace for new colorist, for example. They're buying a Mac and connecting everything to it. Second type of people is like freelancer, like me or you, maybe like more like me, who wants new computer and just replace old one with new. And problems I see is that I have to think about all of these hubs, all of this daisy chaining, all of these new ways to connect my monitors. I don't have new monitors. One of my monitors pretty old, and it's like DVI-D connection, and I'm using it through connector to HDMI. One of my monitors DisplayPort, so I'm just connecting my monitors directly to my graphics card. That's it. And my reference monitor to the DEC link. So I have the device. I'm just connecting into the back of the computer. That's it. I don't have no hubs.
How many devices do you have actually? I'm thinking about it. How many ports do I really need?
Okay, let's count. It's like real case scenario I have right now. I have 2 monitors. I want third one for scopes. So let's count 3, because it's not hard to add a monitor. I just need some space on my table. 3 monitors. Okay. Keyboard. So it's 4 devices. Color grading panel. It's 5. Mouse. It's 6. Microphone. It's 7. Webcam. It's 8. It's already 8 devices. My headphones. It's 9. Some flash drive, at least one. You need to set up something. It's 10. If you have Blackmagic DaVinci using your hardware key, it's 11. I have digital key, but it might be 11. Also, you might connect any external device. For example, if in my case, if I have a home studio, sometimes I might want to play something or connect some other device to charge it. For example, I want to charge my phone from computer, not walking to power output. So it's 12 probably devices I want to be connected. And it's not counting hard drives and stuff, because it's all internal in my computer. And also, don't forget network. Of course, Mac have network adapter or network port, I guess. So it will not be the issue.
You can cut some corners, I think, on the Bluetooth devices, like wireless keyboard, wireless mouse. Never mind.
You still have to connect it to the computer.
Yeah.
You have to utilize the port. So it's a lot of devices.
The first lesson of today: never use Bluetooth if you're not on a Mac. Don't believe Bluetooth. Believe the radio channel.
Yeah, the radio channel is much better than Bluetooth connection. It's faster. For example, the Logitech mouses in their Lightspeed, I guess, technology. It's probably not Bluetooth. It's like radio, and it have the same input lag as wired connection. Basically, there was test on Linus Tech Tips channel. It's pretty good, and Bluetooth is not so good. Of course, there is a lot of new versions of Bluetooth.
And Apple devices, of course, which we love, and they are not overpriced. Not.
So yeah, and on this we have 12 devices we need to connect. And it's not much to ask if we count all of this. And
if you are working as a
colorist in a home studio,
Yep.
And on top of these 12 devices, I have hard drives, SSD drives connected internally in my computer. In case of Apple device, I will have to think, okay, also I have to connect all of my drives somehow. So I have to think like, okay, I need some hard drive bay. I need somehow connect my SATA SSDs. I need somehow to connect my M2 SSDs. I need some connectors for it, some hubs or something. So for me, it looks like a big mess, and I have to rearrange everything from scratch. Basically, it's like new building new house, basically.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, if I'm choosing a $4,000 new computer that I can like do in like usual tower, or a $4,000 MacBook or Apple brick, yeah, how that's called, Mac Studio.
Mac Mini. It's a Mac. It's Mac Studio, of course.
So yeah, if I'm Mac Studio or Big Tower, I'm choosing Big Tower because I can like put hard drives inside of it. I can buy a Big Tower case that can hold like 8 hard drives. I don't have to search for new devices on market to use.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes for me life easier. Of course, we have to like still think in terms of economic efficiency, and I have to count how much computer can I get for this 4,000 plus hubs that I will need. So it's basically in business terms, I have to count all of the expenses, not just $4,000 bricks, because it takes some hubs and things and time to figure out. And people had issues that monitors will just be black for some reason, some monitors. And you have to think about the Thunderbolt cables. Some cables work, some cables don't work. You have to buy not cheap cables. And it's a mess, I feel.
And if you don't have an Apple monitor, and if you want a high refresh rate one, you forget it. Just forget it. Apple can't work with high refresh rate monitors yet. I have no idea why is that. If you have ever tried to work on a high refresh rate monitor, you will never want an interface monitor other than that. It's like night and day in the terms of eye strain after several hours of work.
So yeah, I don't have high refresh monitor, so it's not an issue for me. But yeah, there is some issues. Yeah, after you see a presentation, usually it's a big hype. You see these numbers 1 million times faster, and then small mark like then 3 years old Apple other computer on Intel based chip that was throttling as hell because that was small laptop without cooling system, and we can comparing it for some reason with new Apple product. Yeah, and I don't believe presentation numbers, of course, but yeah, it looks like a good product, as all of the M1 based MacBooks and M1 Mini. It is a pretty good product if you want to work with, like, if you're a small filmmaker and you have your footage in H.264, H.265 codecs. It decodes it on the fly. You don't have to make proxy. You don't have to make like decoding for work. It's pretty good.
And we're talking like heavy iterations of H.264 and H.265 codecs.
Yeah, it's like H.264 5.1, 5.2 versions profiles.
With the 4:2 discretization, some chroma subsampling, yes.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I'm just described my point of view of a product, because my computer, when I was making it, not like all the peripheral devices, just internal stuff. If you will not count disk spaces that I can like buy for Apple or for Windows machine separately, it's like 2 and more times cheaper, and it still works with the like raw footage. So In my case, I have bad issues with H264, H265, but it's not a really popular codec in like big post-production world. And I'm hoping even in middle and low price post-production studios and individual people, because this codex is still like a compression codex. You're still compromising your work by filming in compressed footage. So you want to hold your footage and like record your footage into some version of RAW or ProRes codecs, because you want to preserve what you worked for on production. On you're setting your light, you're making costumes and stuff, and then you're compressing everything into final codec before the post-production. You don't want it. So okay. As for me, I just want to see if it makes sense for the same price, because I'm not into the like looks of the machine. I'm not into the mobility, because like real post-production performers.
So you're sure that you won't be working on the go?
I might, but I don't believe that color accurate work might be done on the go, because you still need to have like reference monitor, good light, good backlight, good colored wall, and like dark room. So you cannot do on the go. And that's why popularity of M1 laptops is so high, because this is for people who work on the go. They shot it, they edited it in like on the flight to home, and they colored it on this 13-inch monitor, and they're done. It's like, okay, it's my YouTube video. It works for YouTuber, but it does not work for color critical work. Or people can think they're doing color critical work on laptop screen, but it's not. Basically, it's just not, because it's a laptop screen. It's small. It's not how everyone will be seeing it. So it's not color critical. Just it's better not to pretend working on laptop screen on the go is color critical, because it's not, and that's it. There is not like a point of discussion, basically. This is like for a freelancer point of view. I'm not fan of any company, of course, because companies are not our friends. Companies not made to serve us. They're made to make money. So every company makes as much money as they can while preserving competitive and legal, still working legally and be still retaining competitiveness. And for the big company, we can see like point of view of a big company, how it's comfortable for them to set up a new workplace for the colorist or like editor on this machine. Will it work for them? It's up to, I guess it's like hardware engineer who sets this up. So basically like colorist in the studio doesn't care which computer is in it. He wants 24, 25 FPS playback. He wants good color critical monitor, panel, and proper room. That's it. Other issues should not be like interesting to a colorist, because in studio, colorist does not leave the software, basically. He just colors.
Yeah.
So it's up to big production to decide how they will make their machines. It should be, of course, like all the computers should be as close to clones as possible to support them. If something goes wrong, it should be easy to diagnose, I guess. It should be easy to diagnose and repair. How easy or how hard it is to do with Apple machines, you might know, because there was some issues like Linus Tech Tips broke the screen on iMac, and they cannot find legal Apple way to repair it. They go, okay, we're willing to pay for the new screen, just sell us the new screen. Apple said, no, we're willing to like do something. They just could not find the way to repair the screen. So you will have to like basically send back computer or like change it to the new one, and it might be harder than just put out the GPU card and put put new inside. You have to replace the computer itself if you need to do something, basically. But it might be good if you just connect everything to the one big network server, and Apple computer will just bring all the power from it. All the power, all the media from it. So it might be pretty handy to set up. It's a fast setup place. You just set up everything on the go in the connection they have, because in a big studio, colorists might not need like stuff like I do as a freelancer. Might not need a microphone or like webcam or free ports to connect like flash drives or external drives, etc., etc. So it might work, but it's up to companies that thinks about these issues. And I hope companies not think about hype of like, okay, this product looks good on the presentations. It should and always go for like real life. Because like we see in company tree, most of computers are on Linux. And why? Because it's pretty servable system. You don't have to like, oh, Windows decided to update. There is no an issue like that on Linux. And it's still like independent platform. You can build, not like receive a computer ready to work. So it's up to studio how they handle the business, basically.
Do you think company tree still on Linux machines?
As I heard, Walter Volpat on Tech Training, he said most machines are on Linux. Why not?
Still, because don't know, because
they have big panels which comes with the hardware ProRes with ProRes license. Big panel comes with ProRes license, so they have anything they need, basically. And it's like you just set it up and it works. You don't have to update. You don't have to like do something. You just, okay, you need new GPUs. You buy some pack of GPUs, you replace them, set up the driver, and it still just works. You can set up the system if it's like a engineer that serves all the computers. All the computers should be like copies of each other with no like issues, basically.
Yeah. Did we plan any other topics to discuss?
Well, what do you think? This overall, like new Apple devices in terms of other types of production. For example, there is 3D World, who was primarily on Windows because of CUDA and RTX, and there is like new shifts that Blender comes more and more better adapted in Mac OS and overall in Apple ecosystem. So what do you think about it?
I think that if the first company that adapts their 3D software package for the M1 wins the long race, in my opinion. And I think Blender has done a pretty good job for doing just that in the recent months. So I'm just waiting for the first benchmarks of the M1 Ultra on Blender. And I think that many independent companies which are working with Blender, I think they'll go for the M1.
What do you think overall in this approach of Apple devices to be as slick as possible? For example, if you remember like 2019 MacBooks, which was Intel, they was thin as fuck. So, and we had a lot of issues with throttling. And the year they make shift to their own processors, they make Pro version with like big cooler. So they figure out to have good performance, they have to have a cooling. But they was choking Intel processors like a lot, and Intel processors is not ones that like choking of a heat spreading, you know, because it's what 14 nanometers process.
I mean,
what is this like they're doing?
I think that I remember the words that my grandfather, who was an engineer, who created control rooms for big ships, and he once told me that the architect for the ship brought him the blueprints for the control room configuration, and he told that this part should be for the brain of the ship, and you should create a integral scheme for the electronic parts. My grandfather looks at that, and he told me that I told the architect that there's not enough space for making all they wanted for the controls for that ship, and they said that just it's not my problem. The blueprint is already approved, so you have to make something to fit in the space for the control room.
Yeah.
So I think that
guessing.
they make a design, and sometimes it may be an afterthought for the space of the internal components. For example, I think that every engineer would want an as big of a cooling fan as possible.
Yeah, probably.
Because if your average chip, a high performance chip, utilizes like 240 watts of power,
which is basically what is expected from new flagman Studio Max,
from new flagship M1 Studio. So it's dissipating 140 watts of heat, and
200.
The cooler for the chips of such heat dissipation, they're like huge. And sometimes you even want a water cooling solution to cool that. And Apple claims that they have like 3 centimeters thick little cooler that will dissipate all the heat. I doubt it.
Yeah, and usual Apple user kind of worried about sound as well. And it's not a big fans, and small fans tend to be pretty fast, and fast spinning fan is pretty loud. That's also an issue that might happen. I know a lot of people who they think their computer working if it's noisy a bit. Their laptop is working if it's noisy. Like, oh, it's too noisy, I don't like it. Or because this software takes too much and it becomes noisy, or like something like that. So noise for some people is an issue with laptops. And maybe with new Macs, they're expecting it to be quiet. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that's a great misconception about the fan noise in the computers, because fans produce noise after a specific threshold of the RPMs.
Yeah.
If you put more fans, but you stop them at several RPMs, the summarized amount of noise will be much lower than if you rotate your single fan to its maximum power. So if you have like 8 fans in your Windows system and they're rotating at like 600 RPM, your system is absolutely
not audible.
Yeah, it's not audible from like 1 meter away or like 3 feet away. And if you have a 14-inch MacBook Pro with M1 Max chip inside it, you'll be like you're like a Boeing pilot who's going to fly off right now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. You might hear my Radeon GPU. It's a bit loud. It's like on 3000 RPM right now. If you hear it. I just forgot to stop it from doing the work. Yeah, basically, there is a huge expectation for a 3D world, Blender especially. But what I heard from 3D professionals, there is not even close to RTX NVIDIA render times. Because there is just different architecture. It's just built differently. because Windows hardware, for example, NVIDIA GPUs, they are like a universal combiner. They can do a lot of stuff, and seems like Apple computers can do good but smaller amount of stuff. They're pretty good with like ProRes, H.264, H.265, but it's not really wide amount of like actions, and all other actions kinda limited because chip is huge and there is a lot of different sub chips maybe to do some stuff, but not a lot of like like in Windows you can do whatever with your processor. It's not stick to any type of actions, and this just raw computing power is just not there for the Apple products. But it's pretty good for video post-production work.
If we are speaking about the Unreal Engine real-time work for the industry, which which became quite popular in the recent couple of years, of course the M1 is far behind the NVIDIA graphic cards.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they'll ever be able to work in such a game engine anytime soon.
So yeah, for me, like it's good product if it's good for you, but you have to think about issues I mentioned, like all the peripheral devices you have and how you implement them with this device, how you connect them. Also, like different technologies that there is on the market. Okay, DaVinci Resolve is pretty much well optimized on Apple devices. And it's like all the new updates, it's all mostly M1 optimizations, one after another. And there is some software that might be not so well optimized. For example, a lot of 3D software is just not working. For example, you can just look on games. Most of the games just basically a mess on Apple Super X3 speed graphics. Why so? Because A, there is no optimization. B, there is just not such a big amount of computing power. It's just not there. And yeah, Apple can be power efficient. It's a big plus of the device because they have, for now, the smallest desktop process. It's like, I guess it's 7 nanometers currently. It's 5 probably, yeah? From TSMC.
I'm not sure. I have heard the news today that they're going to, that TSMC will be going to lowering that down to 3 nanometers in 3 years.
Yeah, and there is already most of the production powers is already sold to AMD and Apple, etc., etc. And Apple bought most of these production powers. So we can expect Apple devices to be power efficient, but it's not magic. It has its downsides in some types of work. And as marketing people want people to believe in magic, it's not magic. But it's pretty good device if you can make it work for you in your workflow, of course.
Actually, most of the content makers, in my opinion, like musicians and image editors, designers, and everything apart from the 3D designing, I think they'll benefit from the new Apple computers.
Yeah, but then you have the question: do you need a 4K computer, or you can just be good with a laptop which costs $1,000?
In my opinion, for my particular tasks, I have already figured out that base 16-inch model of M1 Pro will be more than enough for my particular jobs. So
do you think this ultra step that they connected two chips together, does it even make sense?
Yes. Yes, because the most difficult codecs in the industry right now are Canon RAW codec, Canon RAW Light codec. And these are the only machines that can play back several streams of Canon RAW footage at the same
Mhm.
time. I have no particular idea if several graphic cards put together can do the same thing. We should probably ask our millionaire who's playing with all these stuff with RTX 3090s. But I think the Apple is leading the market right now in this case.
It's quite a black hole of information for some time. Okay, I guess we might want to end this first English speaking attempt. And I'm hoping people will give some feedback. Was there is something interesting to hear from us? Maybe you liked it, maybe you not. Of course, we'll not stop producing Russian-speaking podcast because it's just us, our native language, and it's like most people we know who speak this language. But I want to do some English speaking podcasts. Maybe you will have some listeners. Maybe you will have some ideas and things you want to hear from us. I would love to just explain maybe color grading for broader audience. If some listeners just want to hear what is color grading, why do you need it, how do you do it, or something like that, just put comments somewhere or like DM us on Instagram. You can find links below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, etc. All this blogger stuff.
Or if you just want us to answer your questions about the current situation.
I will love to like chat in some not aggressive manner, of course, about this stuff.
Yeah. So in conclusion, what can we say?
Peace.
We would love to hear that the situation brings peace at last.
Yeah, let's hope next podcast will be like it's all done, it's all fine now.
Yeah, I hope so. Have a safe sky around you.
Yeah.